Story 1. Pet stores keep betta fish in small cups on shelves. This is animal abuse, but nobody seems to care. We do not want the fish to fight, so we make them miserable instead. Story 2. The culture that rewards attendance trains us to come to work even when we are unwell, rather than taking a day off. This mindset continues into adulthood, where we come to work sick and potentially make others ill. Story 3. Parents are posting their children all over the internet, creating a digital footprint for them from birth, long before they are old enough to consent. Some are gaining money, status, and job opportunities from their accounts at the same time. Story 4. Paying for multiple subscription services to watch a few things instead of buying them to own them. Story 5. Putting coworkers together in social team-building sessions can feel forced. While I need to work to survive, it can be challenging to pretend that everyone is engaging. I only genuinely connect with certain individuals. I dislike pretending to be someone I'm not just to keep a job. I strive to be kind but also value honesty. Story 6. I haven't read through enough comments, and I'm sure it's been said, but hustle culture is exhausting. Can we just take a moment to relax? Story 7. For-profit healthcare. The for-profit healthcare industry in the United States is immoral and unfair. Why would anyone, such as insurance companies and for-profit hospitals, want to benefit financially by denying healthcare that can save lives? Life-saving medicines and treatments should be available to everyone, not just those who can afford to pay exorbitant prices for them. Like the military, Social Security, and Medicare, everyone contributes through taxes, and we all share the services. A single-payer universal healthcare system ensures that nobody profits at the expense of others. Story 8. Every other country has itemized taxes, while Americans must navigate complex interactions with the Internal Revenue Service to determine how much we owe, even though they already know the amount. Story 9. Bullying occurs when someone does not see it as a negative reflection on themselves for picking on someone who is trying to learn a language. It is wrong to claim superiority over someone you initially approached. Story 10. Icebreakers during workshops can be unnecessary for those who are naturally communicative. However, for individuals who may feel socially awkward, these activities can serve a purpose. Nonetheless, they can sometimes come across as forced and childish for adults. Story 11. Coveting so much money that the majority of the population has less is concerning. Worshipping billionaires is truly odd. Story 12. Animal abuse in the form of livestock factory farming is much worse than kicking a dog, for example, but it is not seen as a bad thing at all. Story 13. Our single-use plastic consumption is significant. Millions of products are packaged for convenience in single-use plastic containers or bottles. The plastic is derived from oil, which is harvested from million-year-old marine life buried beneath the earth. Therefore, your on-the-go snacks and bottled beverages are packaged in refined biological waste from extinct animals. Story 14. Daylight saving time, money, and credit. Smoking, until 30 years ago. If you are conscious, no matter how badly you need medical attention, paperwork is the first order of business. Story 15. The process of getting a job. We all know that the following statements are true, but if you admit any of them, you will not get the job. Employers know you lie. You know you lie. They know you lie, and you know they know you lie. Why do you want to work for this company? Because you will pay me money which I will use for goods and services. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Society has become so chaotic that I do not make long-term plans. What is your greatest weakness? I'm neurodivergent. Combine that with all the hurdles you have to overcome. It takes an applicant about an hour, including drafting a cover letter, to apply for a job that you will be rejected for by a human in seconds or by a computer in nanoseconds. Story 16. Sheer obsession with money has led us to abandon hundreds of thousands of years of culture, habits, and evolution, embracing greed on a large scale. There is a reason the majority of seniors today advise against focusing on money, even though they had it easier in developed countries. Story 17. Being in credit card debt is common. People often use credit cards as if they are personal loans instead of tools for gaining rewards. They should be treated like debit cards or, in the worst-case scenario, used as emergency funds. I know individuals who overspend and accumulate credit card debt simply because they feel the need for new boots or a new shirt. Story 18. American culture's reliance on cars is significant. I wish I didn't need a car. They are expensive, and I much prefer to walk. Story 19. Parenting vlog channels have many viewers and generate significant revenue, despite numerous cases highlighting their negative aspects. Story 20. Half the population is expected to obsessively remove all body hair, smell like flowers, and apply numerous beauty products daily, at significant personal expense in terms of both money and time. Individuals are regarded as untidy if they do not conform to these standards. Story 21. Policing gender roles, especially regarding clothing and mannerisms, feels like being required to wear a uniform that advertises one's gender. It is unsettling. Story 22. Taking your animals everywhere is unnecessary. Fluffy does not need to go to the store, the dentist, the bank, or a concert. Most of the dogs I see in these places that are not service dogs are extremely stressed. The owners often seem indifferent. Many dogs are clearly overwhelmed. You don't need to be a dog trainer to recognize that your untrained dog, who is hyperventilating, crying, and barking at passing people and dogs, does not want to be at the store with you. Story 23. Having access to each other 24/7 often leads to rude comments when I turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. I respond to messages when I have the time or energy. If it's urgent, they can call me. It feels strange that people think they are entitled to immediate replies or to know what you are doing every minute of the day. Story 24. We are creatures who live in enclosed spaces and move around in vehicles with wheels, powered by resources extracted from the ground. We consume food that we know is harmful to animals, forgetting that we are also animals. We wake ourselves and our children when we are still tired because we feel compelled to adhere to the metrics displayed on the devices we carry and spend much of our time looking at. Story 25. Treating the military and politicians as if they are superior to everyone else is concerning. I have great respect for veterans, but when soldiers stationed in distant locations say they are protecting American freedom, it seems absurd to me. Story 26. Sexualizing children, especially young boys, is a serious issue. I didn't care much for Justin, but the abuse he endured and the blatant sexual exploitation he experienced makes me sad for him. I would not wish such suffering on my worst enemies. Story 27. Some societies often judge others based on their own prejudice and ignorance, even considering this behavior as civilized, which makes me feel uneasy. Story 28. Individualism is the belief that we must achieve everything independently, and if we cannot, we are seen as failures. It promotes the notion that we can lift ourselves up through our own efforts. Story 29. Pornography. To me, it is really strange that we can now separate our sexual behavior and attraction from real personal interactions. Story 30. Not having free healthcare is concerning. I know it can never be completely free, but having to pay thousands just for calling an ambulance is alarming. Story 31. Transphobia and homophobia. What do you mean adults engaging in consensual sex is immoral because they have the same type of genitals? How can you genuinely believe a person is sick and deviant for not wanting to act or look a certain way simply because of their chromosomes? That perspective is unreasonable if you really think about it. Story 32. Companies invest millions to create mass manipulation campaigns to convince people that they need a product. I was watching cable television the other day, and it's surreal how advertisements often show completely unrelated footage of a happy family or people at a party, then cut to a brand at the very end. Is it supposed to imply that the product will make me feel like that? Is it meant to make me think of the product when I'm with my family? Is it intended to distract me from the fact that there is a significant chance the company uses unethical labor practices? Story 33. Every other weekend. Parents. Assuming neither parent is neglectful or abusive, I don't understand why that is the preferable and, at least in my area, the most common type of split custody. Everyone treats it as normal that one parent has their children for about 100 days of the year, including holidays, 2 weeks in the summer, spring break, and weekends, while the other parent has the children for about 265 days. Story 34. The idea of money suggests that a person's worth can be tied to a construct we created to control one another, rather than based on an individual's character. Story 35. The way people treat dogs like perfect little angel babies rather than animals that need training is concerning. Before anyone says it's the same with children, yes, we understand that children can be annoying. However, children and dogs are not the same. I have never had to deal with a child screaming at everything that moves outside for hours on end. Dogs are not children. Stop comparing them, as it is both odd and dehumanizing. Story 36. Getting extremely drunk can poison your body and harm brain cells, leading to a false sense of euphoria. This is a peculiar behavior when you think about it. Smoking is even stranger. You intentionally ignite a substance full of chemicals, including formaldehyde, and inhale the resulting smoke. It is indeed a bizarre choice. Story 37. That politician and president can be anyone, even without education or skills. You do not allow anyone to treat patients or work with databases of sensitive data. Every job has specific skill and education requirements, and these individuals are also judged based on the quality of their work. However, this is not the case for jobs that decide the future of the country. One can promise anything and achieve nothing in 4 years, and who will judge? Imagine you are getting a job as a doctor, and you promise to do significant things, but instead do nothing for 4 years and say, "Oh, I tried." What about the patients who suffered as a result of my inactions? Can I simply continue for another 4 years? Story 38. Inheriting religion and a belief system is important, but children should ultimately decide their views on theology and structured dogmas once they have matured. Story 39. How we spend the majority of our time and energy trying to manipulate the world around us and shape it into what we think it ought to be often leads us to overlook what is right in front of us. How many people can be happy simply with what is here now? It seems very few can look at a sunset, listen to a bird sing, or watch a hummingbird go about its business without thinking, that would be so much better if. Story 40. Makeup. Half the population has an expectation to apply face paint daily. Only some of this cosmetics are considered attractive. It makes no sense. Story 41. Taking someone else's last name with marriage feels old-fashioned and is often associated with women being treated as property. Story 42. Having an on-again, off-again relationship can be challenging. Once it's over, it's over. The number of people who are just desperate is concerning. Story 43. Child influencers exploit their kids for views. It's concerning when there is always a camera in front of children's faces, whether filming family outings for social media, capturing tantrums, giving them guidance, or recording their reactions and meals. Sometimes, it's important to engage in activities without considering how others will perceive them. Story 44. Babies having their own room can be suitable when they become toddlers. However, during the stage when parents are waking up to feed them every few hours and monitoring them closely, the idea of them sleeping in a completely separate room from their parents seems impractical. Story 45. You can elect someone with no political experience and a complete lack of morals, selflessness, compassion, and humanity to the highest office in the country. Story 46. Talking on a phone in loudspeaker mode on public transport and accepting that promises made by politicians are acceptable not to be kept is concerning. In any company or public service, if individuals in positions of responsibility do not uphold their values and commitments, it can lead to penalties or even legal action. However, this does not seem to apply to governments. Additionally, treating dogs as if they were babies, using items like pouches designed to carry them and strollers meant for dogs that refuse to walk, is becoming increasingly common. Story 47. Having a college degree as a requirement for a $20 job can be problematic. Hiring someone based on their degree rather than their extensive experience in the same field may not always be the best choice. Story 48. You can acquire a company by taking out large loans and then placing those loans on the balance sheet of the company you purchased, allowing it to pay substantial sums to you and your associates before walking away when the company fails. While this resembles a mafia scheme, it is legal when the amounts involved are significant. Story 49. How expensive glasses are cannot be justified. It is simply driven by the greed of a single company that owns all major brands. Story 50. Treating a certain demographic as inferior due to circumstances outside of their control is unacceptable. Racism, homophobia, and bigotry towards individuals with disabilities are forms of discrimination. I will hold you accountable for your poor choices, but judging people based on these factors is completely unjustified. Story 51. Wearing a tie. Once, it may have been used to help keep one's neck warm or as a type of bib. Now, besides being a fashion statement, it serves no real purpose. Story 52. Male nipples are normal, while female nipples being exposed is often viewed negatively. It's strange, especially considering that women have jobs where they are often more uncovered. Story 53. Humans treat other humans as superior or inferior based on appearance. We do not do this with any other plants or animals. Story 54. Responding to a baby's needs, wants, and emotions throughout the day while expecting them to be completely independent and self-sufficient for 12 hours at night by a certain age is unrealistic. Story 55. Smartphone addiction, alcohol, gambling, television, misandry, pornography, Hollywood, professional sports, tattoos, OnlyFans, people referring to their dogs or cats as children, celebrity worship, poverty, famine, taxes, billionaires, and anti-intellectualism. Story 56. Lack of personal connection, national cohesiveness, and patriotism. Our nation has become more cruel to one another. There is too much groupthink and group identification, leading to a lack of individuality. Story 57. I hope that one day all the people we lose in war will be seen by future generations the way we perceive human sacrifice today. Story 58. Shunning sex, shunning depression, shunning various issues. Society, especially in America, punishes humanity and rewards psychopathy. Want to be a billionaire? Embrace masochism and psychopathy. Want to live in peace? Tough situation. We need to work on destigmatizing these topics. Humanity, feelings, and more. Story 59. The term brown-nosing literally means excessively ingratiating oneself to someone for personal gain. Story 60. Oversharing is a different type of sharing. I'm not referring to trauma oversharing. I mean posting vague venting messages online about someone who has wronged you. No one asked for this, yet people do it anyway, not realizing it's like going to a street corner and shouting about how upset you are that your mom ate your last Oreo. Is it entertaining to watch? Absolutely. Still, it's strange how widely accepted this behavior is. Story 61. Sleeping apart has become common, but throughout history, humans have often slept in groups. Children being separated from their mothers for daycare or other reasons is understood to be financially necessary. However, this practice is not normal for our species. Many pediatric neurologists have demonstrated through various studies that children develop better when they are with their mothers during their early years. Ideally, this bonding would happen naturally in smaller communities. While I understand the reasons for these separations, they contradict our evolutionary instincts. Story 62. Business suits and ties in countries where the average summer temperatures approach 45 degrees Celsius are impractical and unusual. Story 63. Hunting for sport can be understandable if it is for food and you use every part of the animal. However, if all you want is a dead animal's head on your wall, that is strange. Story 64. Putting leaves into plastic trash bags and taking them to the dump is not environmentally friendly. It's organic matter and will decompose naturally. Story 65. Drinking alcohol affects everyone differently. There are various guidelines about how and in what order to drink to minimize the risk of sickness or hangover. However, many crimes and fatalities still occur in connection with alcohol consumption. It is a depressant that rarely highlights the best qualities in people. Your body treats it like a poison, attempting to eliminate it quickly, which can lead to dehydration or illness. While drinking is often considered a socially acceptable activity, this perspective seems rooted in that of the drinker rather than the sober individuals who must contend with overdrinkers. Story 66. The number 13 is considered evil and spooky, which is why there are no 13th floors in tall buildings. Story 67. Mostly in America, tipping should not be considered normal. Employees should not have to accept $2 an hour, and civilians should not be expected to help cover others' bills, especially in this economy. Story 68. The entire field of cosmetic procedures, including Botox, fillers, and hair transplants, is remarkable. These treatments can age individuals rapidly. Additionally, there are many complications associated with choosing lower-cost options for these procedures. Story 69. Forcing children to be religious is not appropriate. Let them choose after they turn 18 so they can comprehend religion and make this personal decision themselves. Story 70. Society must provide the basic needs of food, shelter, and medical care to all citizens. It is not only the right thing to do for the less fortunate, but it would also benefit everyone. Crime rates would decline, abortion rates would decrease, divorce rates would diminish, drug use would lessen, wages would increase, and life expectancy would rise. Story 71. If you wear unusual clothes, not offensive to school, you deserve to be ostracized or even physically assaulted. Story 72. Cup holders in cars are designed specifically for fast food cups. This connection between restaurants and cars is creating challenges in society. Story 73. Everything has become a popularity contest. Can't I just get a job by being qualified for it? Why do I need to have followers and interactions on social platforms? Why do I need to constantly engage with trivial content to be considered? Story 74. People opposed to sex work and pornography should recognize that unnecessarily policing the private sex lives of consenting adults is inappropriate and comparable to the actions of voyeuristic individuals. Story 75. Drinking in the morning can be surprising. I work at a food cart inside a coffee shop that also serves beer and champagne at any time of day. It is astonishing how many people order alcohol in the morning. I have seen individuals who are clearly working, taking calls, using their laptops, and drinking multiple beers at 9 a.m. How do you function? I would be asleep by noon. This behavior is concerning. Story 76. Selling debt involves signing a loan agreement with one bank or company, but the entity you owe money to can sell your debt to a completely different company with different terms and conditions than those you initially agreed to. When I first heard about it, I thought it was unbelievable. How could this be legal? Additionally, schools are funded through property taxes. Why not distribute all the money equally? Students in affluent neighborhoods attend public schools with significantly more funding than those in lower-income areas. House sales also raise concerns. There are numerous fees associated with the process. Overall, it seems that many aspects of banking, loans, and capitalism are in a state of crisis. Story 77. Having to take out your camera for everything related to social media. See someone minding their own business? Why not put a camera in their face? Story 78. Hustle culture promotes unhealthy habits, such as staying up late, not taking enough breaks, and eating junk food. Story 79. Jobs that require knowledge of your sexual orientation, gender, or race. I am operating a machine and not serving as your surrogate. Please stop. Story 80. Paying more for necessities such as deodorant, toilet paper, and feminine products can be more expensive, while non-essentials tend to be cheaper. Even unhealthy food is often less expensive, but maintaining a generally healthy diet typically costs more. Story 81. Raising animals in dark, dirty sheds, then loading them into a truck to wait in line for mass slaughter, one at a time, knowing what is about to happen. Story 82. Being available all the time. I remember in my youth, the only way to keep in touch with people while traveling was by sending postcards. Story 83. Not being able to afford medication. Working until you can no longer continue. Experiencing homelessness. Elderly individuals having to leave retirement because their fixed income is insufficient to live on, forcing them to seek jobs as greeters. Story 84. Applying makeup on a deceased person's body before placing it in a casket for display to friends and family. Then, burying it in a chosen location to preserve it and allow it to contribute to the natural ecosystem. Story 85. Believing that people do not belong on our side of an imaginary line and that we should not care for them because of it. Story 86. allowing religious individuals to create laws based on their interpretation of religion that affects everyone else. Story 87. We have to allocate a significant portion of our salary to cover basic needs such as housing, water, electricity, and food. Story 88. The concept of borders involves the only species on the planet that imagines they exist and is willing to harm individuals who disregard these imagined boundaries. Story 89. I believe the concept of marriage is quite unusual. Two people register at a government office and receive paperwork stating they are married, along with a significant amount of money spent on a wedding. Other animals form bonds and raise their young without needing government approval, making the idea of requiring official validation for couples seem strange. Perhaps penguins should not have offspring until they are married by the government and can present a marriage certificate. Story 90. The way people react to having children is as if it is mandatory. If you choose not to have children, others may feel that you are personally judging their choices. Story 91. Individuals hoarding large amounts of wealth to the detriment of everyone and everything else in society. Story 92. The current extreme fascism of the right wing around the world does not seem natural. Something or someone is driving it, and it is the biggest threat to our society in the modern age. It needs to be stopped, and now. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.